Now, the Proteas are 1-0 in the two-match series against Sri Lanka after completing a resounding win in the first match. South Africa bowled out the Lankans for 282 in the second innings to seal a 233-run win in Durban. Now, joining us to dissect the 4 days of play is sports writer Keanan Hemmonsbey. Keanan, a very good evening and thank you so much for joining us.
Good evening, Quena.
Keanan, the way the Proteas started the test, I mean, first day it looked like they were a little bit shaky, managed to find their way back into the game for a comfortable win. I mean, what do you make of overall how the Proteas performed in the 4 days?
Yeah, I think it was a really convincing win by South Africa. Obviously, they were put into bat in difficult conditions and they struggled initially up front. I think skipper Temba Bavuma was excellent in his rearguard 7 that he played in the first innings. But obviously, when we got our chance to bowl, when the Proteas got their chance to bowl, they made it count. Marco Jansen was brilliant with career best figures. So we made the best use of the opportunities whenever the chances were given. When we were set to bat again, they batted excellently. Bavuma another century, and then Justin Stubbs also a century. And then in the 4th innings, they finished it off, and Marco Jansen again got career best figures. So it was a brilliant outing for South Africa, even though they lost the toss initially.
I mean, let's speak about Marco Jansen and his contribution to the game. 24-year-old was quite fantastic. And I mean, is this at least signs of better things to come? Because this is not only just a test, but very important for South Africa to keep on winning so that they make the World Championships.
Yeah, I think Marco Jansen is an incredible talent. He was obviously given now I think it was an 8-week conditioning program where he didn't play any matches and he was just training and getting stronger and getting fitter and getting mentally stronger. So he's come back from that looking in tip-top shape. He's a brilliant prospect for South Africa in all formats. And like you said, they've got a brilliant opportunity now to reach the World Test Championship final. They've ticked the first box. There's 3 more matches to go, 1 more against Sri Lanka, 2 against Pakistan. They need to win 2 out of those 3 matches, and then they're in the World Test Championship final at Lord's next year, June.
There was some resistance, though, from Chandimal and Dhananjaya, which was a little bit worrying if you look at it, that we almost struggled again with the tail end.
Yeah, the pitch got a lot flatter as the match went on. Batting got a lot easier. Day 3 and day 4, we saw South Africa also make 2 centuries on day 3 when batting got easier, and then day 4 when Sri Lanka were batting, it was easier for them to bat in. But against South African bowlers, they toiled. The Proteas toiled. They went out there and they kept going, knowing that the breakthrough would come eventually, and it did. And it wasn't easy conditions to get those last few wickets. But knowing that they had a lead of 516, I think it was, that it was an improbable chase for Sri Lanka, but they did what they had to do under those circumstances, and they toiled away for those last few wickets on the 4th day.
Going into Gqeberha on Thursday, I mean, what's your expectation, particularly from the opposition in Sri Lanka, having seen how they played? And as I said, if you look at day 1, how South Africa got to 191, we almost were thinking, oh my goodness, it looks like going to be another loss, but managed to bounce back and win it comfortably. What's your expectation from Sri Lanka in Gqeberha?
Yeah, I think Gqeberha is going to be really interesting. Considering Sri Lanka, I think they got better as the game went on. They getting more accustomed to the conditions, the unfamiliar conditions, them being a subcontinent side, obviously. I think it will be an interesting contest. I think their batters are really good. I think they have good batters that just didn't show how good they were in the first match. I think they will get better and they'll show how good they are in Gqeberha in the second test match. I think they will come out firing because obviously Sri Lanka also in with a chance for the World Test Championship final. They get a positive result in Gqeberha. They beat Australia at home. They've got a good chance of making it. So they'll also be hungry to perform well in that second match. South Africa will need to not be complacent in that match. They need to not expect things to go their way like it did in the first test match. So it'll be a good competitive match. I don't think it will be a thrashing as the first match was, but we'll see how it goes over there at St George's Oval.
Thank you very much, Keanan, for coming through to speak to us. Sports writer Keanan Hemmonsbey talking to us there about the Proteas' fantastic performance in the first test, and they will be playing against the Lankans again on Thursday. Again, South Africa needs to keep on winning so that they get their place in Lords next year.